Okay, hi guys, that took a while. It took me 3 times to get on live with you guys today. So I just updated my phone on Tuesday with the new operating system and I'm wondering if that had an effect. So sorry for being a little bit late. Alrighty, let's get right on into business here. I'm Christina Heideck here of PTO Answers, and I am your host of the PTO Superstar Leaders Facebook group, and I'm so excited that you're here and that you've joined me in this fabulous community, I should say, that is growing so stinking quickly. We're up over 2,000 members right now, which is like just crazy. I mean, I always knew there were a lot of PTO superstars out there, but I didn't really think that there'd be 2,000 of y'all in my group. So yay! It just means more goodness to go all around with great ideas and inspiration and everything. Okay, so today this live video is really going to be a follow-up to what I talked about last week, which is all about how to get volunteers. And today we're going to be jumping into like, what do you do with like, now that you have them? Like, how the heck do you recognize them? What do you do to keep them? All of that kind of stuff. So first I want to answer a question that was actually left in the comments. I'm going to do things in reverse because let's see, I forget who asked. Joey said, I want to hear more about tools that you found useful recruiting and managing volunteers. Well, Joey, I have a treat for you because I have a sheet of 9 free tools that you should definitely be using to recruit volunteers, keep volunteers, communicate with your volunteers, and also they're all 9 different tools that I really think that people will actually cause people to get involved with your group and stay involved. So you should for sure download that, and you can snag that, and it's absolutely free at bit.ly, so bit.ly/PTO Tools, and make sure you capitalize the PTO in that, and I will drop a link to that in the comments after I finish with this video. So Joey, go ahead and get that, and they're really, it's like a parent engagement toolkit, is I guess what I've called it, but 9 tools that you have to be using, and the great thing is that the list is free, but so is each and every single one of the tools that I recommend and the resources in there. They're all free, so definitely take advantage of those and get signed up and get going with them. All right. I also wanted to give a shout out to, that's my free resource. If you're looking for a paid resource that will get you, and I'm looking here, I just created the link and I forgot what it was. Silly me. If you're looking for a paid resource that will really fast forward you to, not to the end of the process, but give you everything at your fingertips that you need to be communicating with parents and getting volunteers and getting everything set up how so that you can actually get on with the process of doing whatever your group wants to be doing rather than figuring out how to do it, then you're really going to need the Ultimate Parent Engagement Kit. And that is a fantastic resource that I have put together for parent groups that just need a little help with parent engagement. I mean, that's, I think, has been every single one of the PTAs that I've ever been involved with. It's been a challenge, different challenge every year, depending on the makeup of the group. You know, if people are leaving and new people and trauma that's caused, and you just gotta try it. So anyway, you can grab that kit on my website. I'm actually a professional organizer by day and a glamorous PTA volunteer by night, and then I dibble dabble with you guys here in the group for stuff. But you can grab that Ultimate Parent Engagement Kit at bit.ly, so bit.ly/ultimate engagement is what I called it. So ultimate engagement is the shortcut, so you don't have to type out the long URL, but it will take you right to that fabulous kit. So let's jump into the questions here, because this video is really a follow-up from, like I said, last week's video, which was all about how to get the volunteers, but then now the question was asked, and Karen, who is an awesome community member, said, okay, Christina, like, we're just starting to rebuild our volunteer base. Like, what do you do now that you have them? And so I'll read her question And then we'll go from there. So she said, can I ask a follow-up question? Once you have volunteers, do you have a way to identify them at the event? We are rebuilding our base of volunteers, and I'm thinking maybe buttons to wear that say something like, I support Bluestone PTO, just sort of more marketing, because I think parents don't make the connection to those volunteering and the PTO. She thinks that a visual might help. And I absolutely agree with you, Karen, so much. And that's why, remember, I got all excited. I was like, I know the perfect thing I'm going to wear for this video. It's kind of cheesy, but if you haven't figured out right now, I'm total cheddar. Yeah, this shirt, I don't know if you guys can see it. This is what I wear to all PTA events where I'm helping out. And these are the t-shirts that we first got at one of the lower elementary school PTAs. And I know I've talked about this before about shirts for people's, and something along the lines of what I'm wearing is really what I recommend, because it's not really saying, you know, I'm a part of this exclusive board or whatever, but it's more generic. And so volunteers really could wear this shirt. So I have two suggestions for you, Karen. One is that you could set aside some money to buy t-shirts for people to wear at the event, and then someone could like collect them after and then wash them, which is kind of a total pain in the keister. Or you could buy them for cheap and sell them at cost, so that you're not even like charging any extra. And we went that route, and I found that even with like generic-ish t-shirts like this one, it sold really well. Like, we didn't really have any extras, and we had people that were casual volunteers who, you know, ponied up the, like, I think they were $8 a piece, $8 to wear them at events, because they kind of wanted to be identified as being with or part of our group. So, and you'll happen to know that it's in my favorite color, which is Kentucky blue. I mean, it's the best color in the world. So, it's not a color that a whole heck of a lot of people wear, but every single time I wear this to an event, even if there are other people, because in later iterations of the same PTA, we had people who chose to, they're like, oh, we need a different kind of t-shirt. Why, I do not know. But they got one that was school specific. And the reason I had chosen this one for our group to begin with was because you can wear this no matter what school you're involved in. Like, our whole district is a PTA district. So, like, I could still wear this at, like, for example, my oldest school is Memorial. I could wear this at a Memorial event and it would still be fine. But I couldn't, if it had, like, the lower schools on it, people would be like, they wouldn't necessarily understand that I was a volunteer for that event. But this bad boy, I can wear forever and ever. And going back to the point about people with other shirts, they got ones that, yes, they were school specific, and yes, they were in school colors, and guess what? It totally blended in with everybody else that was at the event, so they didn't really stand out, because they also made the mistake, because they wanted to get them in school colors. Our school colors are Vegas gold and brown. Not the best color combination, but you got to work with what you got. They went with a white background, white base t-shirt. Well, they totally didn't stand out. Guess who stood out every single time? Me. That's right, because I had on this gorgeous blue shirt. So go with a color that isn't necessarily your school colors, because it'll pop out. So Karen, you'd also mentioned maybe the possibility of getting buttons. I think that would be a lower cost solution and certainly effective if you were involving community members. But again, pick a color not in your school colors. Like, pick one that is going to be complementary or even contrasting, so that it pops out, so people actually notice the button. Because if you do it in school colors, nobody's going to notice it, and it's just going to be like, I don't know, weird flair. I don't know. I'm not a button wearer, not even in an event. I will tell you, at my church, I was involved with the church growth ministry, and we were trying to get something to identify people that would be like the greeters or the welcomers. And so I designed this ribbon, and I thought they were fantastic, right? But I'm going to share my mistake with you. So they said welcome, like going down vertically, like, you know, W was stacked on top of the E, which was stacked on the L, you know, you can go on. So it was like this vertical little banner ribbon, and some people refused to wear them because they felt like they were like on display as livestock at the county fair, which I thought was hilarious, but duly noted. Like, they don't use the ribbons anymore, so it was a small price to pay. Some people did wear it, but just don't make my same mistake. Don't get things that look like they would be pinned on a cow, I guess. That is the moral of that story. So the other thing, I guess the most expensive option would be a t-shirt. The cheapest option for you, Karen, would be a button. So I like your idea of a button. Again, so just don't go in the neutral colors. Like, make it something that's really gonna pop. All right, and then Karen also had a follow-up to her follow-up because she's that thorough. She said, how do you keep volunteers happy and coming back? I'm thinking about making sure we provide bottled water at our stations to make sure they know who to come to if they have any issues during the event. Plus, I want to give very clear instructions and stick to the stop and start time schedule. Oh, Karen, you are so on the right track with all of this. I absolutely think that clear communication is really the key. I know that at events where I have been a volunteer, and this is not even like PTA related. So I went to like a business symposium sort of thing of like female business owners and entrepreneurs last fall. And the event was such a hot mess. And I knew how to make it better, but I was a volunteer and the woman in charge was not in the frame of mind of having suggestions made to her, so I didn't even try. But yeah, there was not clear communication. Like, I showed up and I thought I would be showing up with like a team of volunteers to set up the day before. I was the only one there, which was great, right? Because I just came in and did my stuff. And then when it was time for me to go, like I had to go pick up my kids from school, I just was like, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. But that's a really good example of like, it was such a hot mess, and it made me less likely, like I'm not volunteering again this year because I had such an experience where I was just like, I didn't really know what I was supposed to be doing. And then when I did something, they went back and changed everything because they weren't clear with what they wanted me to do. And I think part of it was they were figuring it out on the fly. But I don't roll like that. So that was not a good fit for me. So I guess your thoughts of being kind, having clear communication is great. The only thing I would add is just to thank them for coming. So if there is, aside from the bottled water, if there's a way that you can give something a little extra to them, I think it depends on your audience, right? So like in the past, when at the lower elementary school, one of the schools had carnival. And so we would often use a lot of teenagers who needed like service hours. So they were willing to come and give up their whole mornings for setup and then running the event and then cleaning up. Well, to thank them, we gave them lunch because we were also already providing food that we were selling. And so yes, it did come out of the profits, but we didn't have to pay. We weren't worried about getting volunteers for the event. So that was the trade-off. So if you can find a way to give them a little something extra, that would be good. I think also just giving acknowledgements on Facebook and tagging people if it's possible after the fact rather. I think that kind of goes like a little bit right there, kind of goes a really long way, because I mean, I'm a Leo, so I do appreciate attention to myself, but I also like being recognized for when I do go above and beyond and when I'm involved in something. So like if I were to see myself tagged in a post on Facebook from an organization that I had volunteered with, they're like, thank you so much to Christina Heideck for, coming and giving of her time. And it can be like in a whole list of like with everybody else that comes too. It doesn't have to be just me, but like that would make me feel really special, and would also, one, that they took the time to do it, because I know after an event, usually I just want to like lay down on the couch and go to sleep, right? I know I'm not alone. But just because I'm putting so much into it and so much effort that I just need that. But I think that's a way that people would really feel like they were truly appreciated. The other thing is, again, after the fact, is just to send like a thank you note, a handwritten thank you note. I especially recommend this if you're if you're helping, or if you're having community organizations come in and help, so maybe like a church or a synagogue or some other house of worship that's coming in and helping, that's something like cheap and easy. You can even save yourself a stamp and just drop the note off or have somebody do that. But I think that would be like a really nice way to thank people, especially because they know that you don't have any money. You're raising money. All the money that you're raising rather is going to the school and going to the kids and staff and stuff like that. So I hope that's been helpful, Karen. Let's see. All right. So I'm going to hit on some other questions too. And I love that you guys are like so good about putting questions in there. So I know that I can answer exactly what you're struggling with and what you're thinking about. So that's not just me talking to, people, talking to you guys about stuff that you don't even care about. I guess you would leave, but I'd like you to stay. I'm happy you're here. All right, so Stephanie says, on the topic of volunteers, how can we reach out to get the working parents involved? We have a couple of evening events throughout the year that we struggle to get enough. Okay, so, this is time for a little tough medicine, only because I know I've talked to Stephanie a couple different times, so I'm hoping she won't take this so rough. So if you consistently have a struggle to get people to come to an event, then you need to consider whether you actually need to be having the event. Like if it's as an event organizer, I know how stressful that can be, and to not know that you have enough people, or to be constantly running the event yourself rather than spending time with your family. Like, I cannot tell you how many times that has happened. More times than I really wish to admit, just because that's the reality, that not everything is important to people. So I think in this situation, Stephanie, look to see that. I'm not saying get rid of the event, but maybe tweak it. And if you still want to have the event, I would go ahead and reach out to parents individually. Like, I am really big on the strategies of like relationship building, and I know that it takes time, but it is so worth it, because once you have a relationship with somebody, they'll do stuff for you, like, and they won't even think twice about it. So for example, I had one friend in kindergarten. She never came to any PTO meetings at all, or any PTA meetings rather at all. And y'all know I use PTO really interchangeably, right? Good. She never came to anything at all, but we really needed someone to, I think her first thing that she started out with was this reading program. They were trying to get the younger kids to read, and so we had this incentive program where they would read so many minutes a month, and there were like set goals for every grade, and of course the minutes increased as the kids got older, but if they did that, then they would get rewarded with things. And so I thought it was like a low level project that she could work on, and just be it would just be easy for her to do. And so we were already friends, but she didn't really like coming out at night, but I knew that she could do this during the day, and that she would probably keep coming back and start coming to the meetings if I got her involved at like the low level. And sure enough, she ended up being president of the group like 4 years later. Or 3 years. No, 4 years later. Anyway, 3 or 4 years later. That's not where I was like going with her, but it totally worked, right? So it was one less year that I had to be president. So, because that's what you want. You want the group members to build upon themselves and go to do bigger things. So I guess look at the landscape, Stephanie, of your parents, and I wouldn't necessarily cold call parents that you've had no interaction with ever, but I would start with the parents maybe that are in your children's classes, or ask for recommendations from your PTA and be like, hey, who knows of someone who's not involved right now, but who's very likely, like because a lot of times if people are asked individually, they will do it. But if you put out like an all call, and what I mean by that is just like a blurb in your newsletter or a blurb on Facebook and saying, we need helpers. Yeah, people are gonna like ignore that because they always think that someone else is gonna do it. It's not that they don't want to do it, but they're like, meh, somebody else, they get that covered. They'll let me know if they don't have that covered. So don't make that mistake of having them just assume that it's all covered when in fact you're scrambling each and every time. So find a few parents in your class and start with them and just be like, hey, Sally, we need some help because we're having literacy night in October on the 17th, and I'm picking all range of dates, so whatevs. Is there any way that you could come and help set up from 6 to 6:30? We just really need some help with that. Okay, and then chances are, if she's available, she will say yes. And then you can go from there. And then once she's there, you're going to give her some water. No, I'm joking. I was just going to say, like, you want to go back and make sure that you get them fully looped in. But I think the specific ask, the direct ask, is going to be your best bet with getting working parents there. Also, you want to be really clear, and I know you know this, but just for the sake of people who haven't listened or watched a video with me before or read any of my blog posts, you're going to want to make clear like what they're going to be doing, because people are far more likely to volunteer for something when they know what they're actually going to be doing than if they're just like coming to help out at an event, because they might be not as confident about themselves as you are, Stephanie, or that I am, because I know I can walk into any situation and I'm like, I can take care of it, not a problem. So I generally will say yes, but there are some people who won't say yes unless they know exactly what they're going to be doing, because they just don't have that confidence that they could do it, or they don't want to stand out. Do you know what I mean? So just make sure you know exactly what you're asking them to do and make those expectations clear. All right, so I hope that's helpful, Stephanie. And then the last question for today is from Bethany, and she asks, how do you get volunteers when most of the parents don't speak English? All right, Bethany, so here's the deal. Just like with what I told Stephanie, you're going to want to go and find one parent that speaks Spanish and English fluently, or enough to like get you by, and you're going to go to that person. You're going to be like, hey, can you be our, like, not translator, I'm trying to think of what I would call it, like communications chair perhaps, or communications specialist, where that's their job. That is just to translate things and put things in a way that will like speak to your Spanish speaking population. Like that's how I would go about that. And then empower that one person to be in charge of that. And then I think really with that, you're just going to have to get like a couple people to come and then empower them to like build upon what they have, and then go and ask other people too, right? So then that's how you always get more people, is that you get a couple in and then you expand the network by having those one or two people go ahead and ask other people. And then that's how the network builds, and that you will have a strong group that way. But I would definitely not rely on like services of Google Translate, because it could be translated in a way that doesn't make sense, or that is, you know, when you have like textbook languages and then you have like how things are really, really said, maybe, and sometimes they don't exactly go together and that they mean different things. So I would just be wary of that. So really I would start with a parent who can do that. And if you don't have a parent, if you don't know of anybody who would be good, then that's when you need to go to the teachers in your building and the administrators and the office administrators and be like, hey, this is what we're thinking. Who do you know of? Because a lot of times if parents haven't made themselves known to the parent groups, if they really want to be involved and if they really have those tendencies to help out, they're going to make themselves known to either the principal, the office secretary, or teachers for sure. So at some level, you're going to be able to ferret them out. So you really just have to go and do a little bit of that investigation and find your peoples. So I haven't seen any other questions come through, but like I said, I'm not entirely sure that my phone is working correctly. So If you have other questions, pop them in the comments below, and I will stick around for a little bit and answer them. But I hope this has been really helpful, because getting people to come to your group is one thing. Getting them to stay and keep coming back is something totally different that you just need to be really in tune with. So I hope I've helped you here with giving you some different things to think about. So 2 things to do. If you want to get the tool sheet, or the 9 tools, the parent engagement toolkit that Joey really was clamoring for, then you're going to want to head on over to bit.ly/PTO Tools, and that's bit.ly/PTO, all capitalized, tools. But if you're ready to jump on in and give you some like really meaty stuff, that will be the exact solution to your parent engagement problems, and you're going to want to go and get the Ultimate Parent Engagement Kit, and that is available in my Streamline Living shop, and you can snag that bad boy at bit.ly/Ultimate Engagement. So go on over and check it out and see. I know it'll work for your group, so go and get it already. It'll save you some trouble and some work on that. So all right, you guys, next week I hope to be back at you on Wednesday. This week I had a client, so I had to boot to Friday, and I'm guessing that Wednesdays is probably a better time for everybody, so I'm really going to try and keep to the Wednesday schedule. The other thing that you can do in the comments is, if you have an idea for like what you want me to talk about next, add it to the comments, and I will try to, I'll get you on the schedule. I might not get to it next week, but I'll get that on the schedule so that I can help you solve some of your PTO problems. So, alrighty, y'all, have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you again next week. Bye-bye.